What's up guys, it's Eric from Rare Candy and welcome back to another entry into our Rogue Rumble series where we take a look at some underutilized or overlooked cards and we try to make some rogue deck ideas out of them. So for this entry we are taking a look at Gengar, Latios, Po-Town, just a bunch of de-evolution like shenanigans basically. So this is actually a video that was selected by one of our patrons, Josh Paraso, over on patreon.com/rarecandytcg. So basically, if you're unfamiliar with our Patreon, depending on how much you pledge to us, one of the perks is that you actually get to choose videos for us to create. So I'll have a link in the description if you want to learn more about how to have a bigger say over the type of content that we put out. And another perk to any of these videos done for our patrons, that they actually have fewer ads than our normal videos as well. So all of the support from Josh and the rest of our patrons goes a long way to helping ensuring that we can keep putting out content and have less ads for the rest of the community as well. But anyways, on to the actual video itself. We are looking at Gengar. So there's actually a lot of different tools available to Gengar to set up some de-evolution plays and one-hit knockouts. And we got some new tools from Crimson Invasion as well. So let's take a look at the deck and what we are going for here. So the main attacker of the deck is going to be, well, I guess partially Gengar. This is going to be actually our cleanup attacker in the deck. So we're looking at Gengar, 130 hit points, free retreat cost, which is fantastic, fighting resistance, which is also pretty good right now since Buzzwole is somewhat popular. But we are looking at Gengar for its Creep Show attack, for a Psychic and Colorless Energy. If your opponent's active Pokemon has 3 or more damage counters on it, that Pokemon is knocked out. So this is a very strong effect on Gengar. It is a little clunky though. Gengar is a stage 2. We have to rare candy into it. It takes 2 energy, which is kind of awkward, and there's not really any great acceleration for psychic types. So Gengar can sometimes be a little bit clunky to power up, but we have a ton of ways to actually set up these knockouts in this deck. So let's take a look at the rest of it. So we are also playing one copy of the Gengar from Crimson Invasion. It has this ability, Gnawing Curse. Whenever your opponent attaches an energy from their hand to one of their Pokemon, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. So this is one of the ways we can help set up, some of these Creep Show plays with the other Gengar. Also has free retreat and fighting resistance as well, so some half decent stats on this guy as well. It is worth noting we are playing the Crimson Invasion. Ghastly has the attack Ominous Eyes for 1 psychic energy, put 1 damage counter on one of your opponent's Pokemon, so it has some synergy with the Creep Show Gengar if we choose to go that route. And we're also playing the Crimson Invasion Haunter as well. So it has Pain Amplifier for, again, just a single psychic energy. Put 2 damage counters on each of your opponent's Pokemon that already has any damage counters. So yet again, kind of to help set up knockouts for the Creep Show Gengar. I do think the other Haunter is also pretty good as well. The one from, I believe it's Generations. Whenever you evolve into it, both active Pokemon are confused. I think that is a consideration as well. There's definitely some times when I was testing out this deck where that one could come in handy, but then there's other times where this one can actually come in handy. So I don't know which is better. Try them both out, see which one works for you. But anyways, so that's going to be the Gengar part of the deck, but we still are playing some other ways to get some damage counters on the field. So the first way is the Tapu Koko promo. Has that nice flying flip attack for a DCE, does 20 to each of your opponent's Pokemon. Also has free retreat cost, which is very nice too. So just a good solid attack to maybe start setting up some knockouts. If you get off 2 flying flips, then basically, everything on your opponent's field will be able to be knocked out by Creep Show. So then we're playing the 1 Koko, but we are also playing 2 copies of Latios from Shining Legends, and we're playing it for the breakthrough attack. So again, just for a single DCE like Tapu Koko, it does 30 and then 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So there's different situations where this and Tapu Koko are both better than one another. So I think Latios is generally the most useful just because it does just a solid 30 just right off the bat. But then there's other situations where Tapu Koko is a little bit more useful. So that's why we are playing the split, but kind of a heavier emphasis on the Latios. And we are playing Psychic Energy in the deck, so we do have access to Lagoon Flight to do 70 damage as well, but hopefully you're never in a situation where you need to do that. But like I said, mainly using this for the breakthrough attack. We're also playing one copy of the promo Stardust Jirachi. So Stardust for a colorless does 10 damage and discard a special energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon if you do prevent all effective attacks and cooling damage done to this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn. So unfortunately, I think Golisopod is kind of a tricky matchup for you, specifically just because it has a high count of things like Acerola to pick up damaged Pokemon. So a lot of times it can be hard to get your damage to actually stay on the field long enough to use Creep Show or Espeon EX or something like that. But in the past, some Golisopod variants are actually extremely special energy heavy. So one thing you can do is, if your spread strategy really isn't working out, you can just kind of strip away your opponent's energies and kind of stall them out a little bit with Stardust Jirachi, and then maybe switch into your spread strategy from there later. So Jirachi mainly for your Golisopod matchup, but can also be useful against a number of things. A bunch of decks right now play special energy, so just a solid little 1 energy attack. And I just mentioned Espeon EX, we're also playing, this guy has that Miraculous Shine attack for a colorless energy. De-evolve each of your opponent's evolved Pokemon, put the highest stage evolution into your opponent's hand. So sometimes if you don't have the Creep Show Gengar set up yet, Miraculous Shine can actually be even better, just because you can immediately just plop down an Espeon. You can Ultra Ball just for an Espeon, do Miraculous Shine, only takes a single energy, you don't have to evolve into it. So it's just an alternate way to take prizes without needing a stage 2 in play. And then to round out the Pokemon line, we're playing 3 copies of Tapu Lele GX, of course, for that Wonder Tag ability. We do also play double Colorless Energy, so we can do Energy Drive, 20 for each energy attached to both active Pokemon. And if you have a double Colorless Energy on Tapu Lele, you do 40, which sets up a Creep Show knockout, actually. So Tapu Lele can actually be a decent attacker in here as well. So going on to the rest of the deck, take a look at the supporters. This is the most cookie cutter supporter line, probably in the current format. 4 Sycamore, 4 N, 3 Guzma, 2 Bridget. Really no nonsense. This is really all you need, I think, to get this deck going. Playing 2 copies of Bridget, though, just to ensure that we don't whiff the turn 1 Bridget, because we want to get multiple Pokemon in play as soon as possible. So ideal if we can get a Latios in play or something like that, that is going to be very crucial for us. So I basically just want to make sure that we get at least a Latios and a Ghastly up and running in the same turn. So playing 2 copies of Bridget just to ensure that we don't whiff that. So 4 copies of Potown, another crucial part of the deck. Whenever any player plays a Pokemon from their hand to evolve one of their Pokemon, put 3 damage counters on that Pokemon. Luckily for us, our main attackers are just basics like Latios and Tapu Koko. These are the Pokemon we are leading the game with anyways. If we have to take a little bit of damage when we evolve into Gengar, so be it. I'm not too worried about that, just because the Potown damage is going to hurt them a lot more than it's going to hurt us. It's going to set up one-hit knockouts for us, even on like big GXs and things like that. So Potown, definitely a very crucial part of the deck to set up these Creep Show and de-evolution plays. So 4 Ultra Ball, 2 Rescue Stretch are pretty standard. 4 copies of Rare Candy, just to ensure we can get Gengars out as quick as possible. 1 copy of Field Blower. You know, a lot of decks play 2, but honestly, we're not really too worried about things like Garbodor shutting off abilities. We're not really worried about things like Choice Band. So the 1 Field Blower is fine. It could be nice to maybe get rid of Floatstone sometimes, or maybe if Gardevoir plays Parallel City on you, you can use it for that. But, most of the time, like I said, you're not really too worried about many tool cards or stadiums that your opponent could potentially play. And the last of the trainer cards, just 2 copies of Floatstone. You might be thinking, well, Tapu Koko is free retreat, Gengar is free retreat, everything else has 1 retreat cost. You really need Floatstone, and basically we're just playing it to help ensure that we can get the turn 1 Flying Flip or the turn 1 Breakthrough or something like that. So if we start with a Ghastly or maybe like a Tapu Lele, and we can get out Latios and Tapu Koko, we still want a way to play a Floatstone and get those Pokemon in the active spot to use their attacks as quickly as possible. So going on to the energy cards, we have 6 Psychic Energy, of course, since, basically the only energy costs in this deck are Psychic and Colorless. 4 Double Colorless Energy, since all of our main attackers in the early game can abuse Double Colorless Energy. But then we are also playing 2 copies of the new Counter Energy from Crimson Invasion. So it provides 1 colorless energy, but if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent, and if this is attached to a non-GX or EX, then it provides 2 of every type of energy. So, with this deck, we're really not jumping ahead in prizes. We're actually kind of taking prizes pretty slowly. We're basically just setting up big de-evolution plays in the late game or creep show knockouts in the late game. So more often than not, we are going to go down on prizes first. So counter energy can be pretty handy because it's basically you're like running 6 double colorless energies in your deck, essentially. So if you go down on prizes, you can actually use just one of these to power up a flying flip or a breakthrough. But also it's really good for Creep Show because it has that annoying 2 energy attack cost. So once a couple things have been knocked out, you can just throw down 1 counter energy and power up a Gengar in 1 turn and use Creep Show. So guys, that is the list we are going to try out. Let's head over to the battle portion of the video and we'll show you how this deck looks in action. Alright guys, so we have ourselves a game here. We're just going to call it the coin flip, which we do win, so that is definitely good. Hopefully we can set up a couple Gengars and some stuff like that before our opponent can get set up. And we actually have a pretty half decent hand. Basically any game that you open up with Tapu Koko, Latios, and or a supporter is pretty decent most of the time. Unfortunately, we are going to have to sycamore some stuff away. Well, actually we draw the Ultra Ball. This actually kind of makes this hand even better. So I think what I might do here is we can Ultra Ball away Espeon, and I think the Psychic Energy, or maybe the double color since we can't attack on first turn, but maybe the Psychic Energy. I feel like we run more of those in the deck, so maybe that is the better route to go. So let's do that, and what we can do is we can get our first turn Bridget. So we can go for a Tapu Lele, just checking, making sure Bridget is in the deck, which it is, that's good. So we'll bench Lele, and this way we can save this Gengar and Rare Candy and just evolve into it immediately next turn, instead of having to sycamore all that stuff away. So let's go for the Bridget. We can grab a Latios and 2 Ghastlies. That seems pretty good. Just checking, just some other things that are in the deck, seeing what we have access to. Looks like we might have a Po-Town prize, but other than that, nothing too crucial. And it looks like we're playing against some sort of Tapu Bulu deck, if I just had to guess. Probably Tapu Bulu Vikavolt. I wouldn't imagine we would see Lurantis or anything like that. So let's see what our opponent is going to start with. That might give us some more clues what we're up against. But like I said, I'm assuming this is just typical Tapu Bulu Vikavolt. Okay, so we're going to see a Lightning Energy. That's probably not what our opponent wants to see. A Fighting Fury Belt. And do they have anything else? Okay, they're going for an Ultra Ball, so they can probably get that first turn Bridget, or if they don't have a supporter in hand, maybe they just go for a Lele to get a Sycamore or an N, something like that. That could be good. If they go for a Sycamore, they probably don't want to refresh their hand, so... So it's the first search of the game, so I'm guessing they're probably just also taking a peek through the deck just to see what's prized and, all of that type of stuff. So here we're actually just going to see a Grubbin, so that is interesting. Maybe they already have a supporter in hand, if that's the case. And just a pass, that is weird. Do they have all of their Lele's prized? Huh, that is pretty concerning, so okay. We're going to take it though. I won't complain if our opponent has a bad start. But here we're going to Sycamore, drawing a fresh hand, and let's get down a Psychic Energy on this Gengar, start setting up a Creep Show play. What we can do here is we can actually just do Breakthrough, and now this Tapu Bulu and this Grubbin are both set up to take one-hit knockouts with Creep Show. So we're going to see a Heavy Ball. Okay, so maybe... Okay, we're just going to see a Charge Bug. I'm actually kind of cool with this too, because we have Guzma. So we can actually just Guzma up this Charge Bug, attach a Counter Energy, and just take a one-hit knockout. Yeah, so let's definitely do this. We're having a pretty good setup so far, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, just thinking. Yeah, I think we do the Counter Energy. We'll save the double colorless energies for our Latioses and Tapu Koko, things like that. So even though we could get an easy 2 prizes off the Tapu Bulu, Vikavolt is kind of the lifeblood of the deck. If they don't have Vikavolt out, it's going to be very hard for them to actually get their Pokemon loaded up with energy. And you know, I have to say we're in a good spot. Our opponent is not threatening us in any way of taking a knockout with this Tapu Bulu, so we can actually just use Creep Show yet again next turn and take another easy 2 prizes. Okay, so we're going to see a Grass Energy. Hey, I'll take that. If you want to commit energy to this Tapu Bulu that's going to get knocked out, I won't say no. So here, let's get down to Psychic Energy on this Ghastly, start powering up another Gengar in case this one does go down. But overall, I mean, we are having a pretty solid start so far. So we'll get down the Float Stone, and I think we end here. Well, I don't know. Our opponent didn't really do much. Maybe I just hang on to this hand. I think that might be better. We could have Sycamored, but we don't want to get rid of the energy, and we could have ended get a new hand, but our opponent doesn't even have a Grubbin, so I really don't want to refresh their hand for them. So here we're just going to do Creep Show, take another knockout. I'm fine with this. And what we can do is we can just retreat and use Breakthrough this next turn to set up these last 2 Tapu Bulus to get knocked out. So our opponent really needs a Grubbin this turn. And here they're going to Guzma up this Lele. We're going to see a Professor's Letter, but they need a Grubbin. That's going to be the big thing. Maybe they don't have another supporter and they just have to use Horn Attack, so our opponent's not having the best game, but nevertheless, you know, even though this isn't the most back and forth game, I think it like pretty well shows off just basically how you can easily set up knockouts with this deck. So here we're going to do Breakthrough yet again, and no matter which of these Bulus gets promoted, you know, we're going to be able to just easily pick them off with Creep Show. So we're going to see another Grass Energy come down. Hey, I'm cool with that yet again. You want to commit all of your energy to this Pokemon that's just going to be knocked out in 1 hit? Knock yourself out, my friend. I won't turn that down. So they're going to get back a good bit of stuff there with Brock's Grit, and then just do a Horn Attack. But what we can do is we can just pay to retreat, promote this Gengar. Let's get down, I guess a Psychic Energy is, well, let's get down another double colorless energy to reset up this Latios, just in case we need to set up another knockout. And here we can do Creep Show, taking another 2 prizes. Like, I could Sycamore this whole hand away, but I don't really know what else we need at this point. I kind of rather keep it in the deck in case we get end or something. I want to keep the energy in the deck as well. And here, our opponent needs like a max potion. That's the only thing that's going to keep them in this game. Or like a Float Stone to, you know, retreat into something else. But here we just get a victory screen. So unfortunately, a rough game for our opponent there. I'm sure that's not what they wanted to see. But like I said, even though it's not the most exciting game, we still, you know, we're able to show off how the deck operates. And here, but let's hop into another game. Hopefully we can get something that's a little bit more back and forth. And it looks like we're both going to take a mulligan here, and this is actually kind of a decent hand. We have the Tapu Koko to start with, we have a Ghastly, so I'm feeling kind of good about this hand so far. Unfortunately, we don't have a Bridget, but you know, nevertheless, I think we'll be okay here. So our opponent's going to mulligan yet again, so I'm curious what we're playing against at this point, and unfortunately, this looks like some sort of Sylveon deck, which could be very annoying, like the disruption based one. And oh my god, so we draw a bunch of cards that were not useful at all. I'm really hoping our opponent actually uses N because this hand is not that good. So okay, I'm just trying to think how we need to go about this matchup. I don't think we can even afford to use Flying Flip here. I think we basically have to only use Breakthrough to set up these knockouts. I mean, if we have to... Okay, so we actually hit Lele, which is huge. So what we can do here is we can obviously use Lele, we can grab a Bridget, and we can actually get a Latios to start using Breakthrough. Because the Sylveon decks, they play max potions and things like that, so it'll take actually 2 Flying Flips with Tapu Koko. Yeah, we'll take 2 Flying Flips with Tapu Koko to set up knockouts, and that's just, you know, when they're stripping our energy every turn and using max potions, it's just honestly too slow to take knockouts that way. So we do have Espeon in the deck as well. That is also very important, I think. And, you know, we could get a 3rd Pokemon, but honestly, I don't even think we need it. You know, Sylveon typically does not take knockouts. You know, very rarely does it actually do that. So here, what we can do is, okay, so here's kind of like my game plan. I want to kind of bait our opponent into stripping some energy. So they probably have Crushing Hammers or Plumeria. Oh, get Crushing Hammer right there, which they do get Tails on. And they get heads on that one. So basically my game plan is I don't want to use Breakthrough until the turn before we take a knockout with Creep Show. That's kind of my game plan here. And we have a couple Psychic Energies to burn. So, okay, our opponent's going to play Parallel City. So what do we get rid of Ghastly here? Actually, probably in hindsight, now that I think about it, maybe we should have gotten rid of the Lele. That could have been good. But at the same time, I don't know, because Lele can just do Energy Drive and set up a knockout instantly, so I don't know. It's a half-decent attacker as well, I guess. So let's see what our opponent's going to do here. They're going to use that Magical Ribbon attack, search their deck for any 3 cards. And like I said, we have some extra Psychic Energy to burn here, so I'm just going to put down the Psychic Energy on the Ghastly, try to bait them to using some more Crushing Hammers. I want them to kind of get all of those out of the way and use them on, but they have Team Skullgrunt. That is so annoying. Okay, so that kind of screws up my strategy a little bit here. So, okay, what do we do? What do we do? I guess we just have to Sycamore next turn, as much as I hate to say that. So here they're going to use Magical Ribbon again, and I think this turn we unfortunately have to Sycamore and get a new hand of 7. That Team Skullgrunt was so clutch, man. At least we still have the other Psychic Energy in play. That's the one redeeming part to all of this. So we could play Potown and get another Ghastly in play, but do we need to? Here I think I'm just going to draw pass. I mean, we have a pretty big hand. I don't want to Sycamore and draw 7 more cards. So I'm actually kind of content just being in top deck mode for a little bit. I don't know if this is the right play or not, but we just have so many resources. I really just don't want to get rid of them just yet. So here we'll let our opponent Magical Ribbon. I'm fine with that. Yeah, so our opponent has a huge hand at this point. This is crazy. Yeah, I think I'm just going to just pass. So basically my plan for this is I'm either going to... I just don't want to blow through the deck too quickly, that's all. And I'm fine just draw passing, forcing our opponent to end us, to maybe put us at a lower hand size, put some of those resources back into the deck. Here they use Team Skullgrunt again, I'm fine with that. Waste your supporter for the turn, buddy. I don't care. But here they're going to start putting on some pressure with that second attack that Sylvan has. And I think we promote Latios here and try to hit DCE. Or maybe we can go for Lele. Lele is a little bit sturdier than Latios. It doesn't get one-shot, but just trying to think here. Yeah, let's go for the Latios. Maybe we can draw into a DCE. That'd be great. Oh, but here we actually top deck a Gengar, so that's actually really good. So I am definitely going to Sycamore this turn now for sure. We can get the other Ghastly down. I think that's fine. We could leave it open to maybe grab a Lele. Or we could play this Potown as well if we're going to Sycamore. I think that is also good. So here I'm just debating, but I think it's fine. We can bench the Ghastly. We can put the Potown in play, I feel like. And then just discard our hand and hopefully get a double card with Synergy. That's going to be the big thing. But we do not get it, so that's slightly annoying. Okay, so we do have a Rescue Stretcher, which is pretty nice. And here I'm just going to pass. Even if this Latios gets knocked out, you know what? I'm not too worried about. We have another one in hand. We have Rescue Stretcher, so we can actually just shuffle some Pokemon back into our deck as well. And here they're going to use Delinquent. Slightly annoying. So what we can do here is discard Ultra Ball. That's pretty useless. Maybe discard Sycamore. And this is a tough decision right here. I don't really want to get rid of anything because we want Rare Candy to get out this second Gengar ideally. but maybe we don't even need it. I don't know. So let's get rid of the Latios. We have the Rescue Stretcher in hand if we need to get back some Pokemon. And here they're just going to do Fairy Wind. Okay, so let's use the Rescue Stretcher. So we'll get the 3 Pokemon back into our deck. You know, we're going to play a supporter this turn anyways, so I'm thinking maybe we can just draw back into what we need. So here we will go for a supporter card, and we probably want to get N here. Our opponent has a huge hand. They're also ahead on prizes, which is unusual for this deck. And we could rare Candy, but yeah, let's do that anyways. Seems okay to me. And here we'll just end. Hopefully we can hit ourselves. Well, that's not what we needed. So this game is going a little bit awkwardly, I hate to say, but what we can do is we can actually use Sinister Fog, which isn't a terrible attack in this situation. So for 1 Psychic Energy, we are going to poison our opponent's active Pokemon and put 10 damage counters, or not 10 damage counters, but 10 damage on the rest of our opponent's Pokemon. And here they're going to do Perilous City. I'm fine with that. I really don't need too many Pokemon in play for this matchup. We have a Field Blower ready to go if we need to use it anyways. And here our opponent's going to retreat out of the poison. And then looks like they're probably just going to do Magical Ribbon to get some cards out of their deck. But we still have another Psychic Energy, so we can actually just reattach to the active and keep using Sinister Fog to you know, set up some knockouts. So yeah, let's attach. Yeah, we'll attach to the active, and yeah, it seems good. Or well, we could try to get greedy and go for like an N to get Latios and DCE, but I don't know. I feel like just attaching to the active and just going that route is probably a little bit safer. Okay, so we do have some energy to work with for next turn. I really hope we don't get Team Skull Grunted. That would be pretty bad. But we're putting our opponent down at a 4-card hand, so I feel pretty confident that they're not going to have what they need to get rid of our energy. So we just need one more turn to use Sinister Fog, and then basically all of these Sylveons will be within 1-shot range. And here they're going to retreat out of the poison, but I'm kind of fine with that. It's forcing them to burn energy, and if we can force them to keep retreating here, maybe that'll, between that and their max potions, maybe we can have a turn where they whiff the energy that they need for an attack at some point. And here they're going for a Magical Ribbon again, but luckily we have an N ready to go to get those cards back in our opponent's deck. Alrighty, so yeah, we could attach, but I really don't want to get hit with an Enhanced Hammer. I kind of just want to attach the energy right when we're about to, you know, go for a knockout. And here we actually have a Latios as well, so that could be good. I think I may have actually misplayed here. It's actually my first time rewatching this footage, so I think probably in hindsight, getting on the Latios could have been good, just because if we get hit with a Perilous City, well, actually I don't know, because all of their Pokemon now have 3 damage counters, so we're actually kind of in a half decent spot anyways. And here opponent's going to use Magical Ribbon yet again. I don't think we're going to be lucky enough to top deck an N here, but I feel pretty good about the spot that we're in because we can actually just use this Float Stone to retreat, attach an energy for turn, and then take a knockout with Creep Show. Oh, and actually we have a Guzma. That could also be good as well, but let's hang on to it for next turn just in case. So we will retreat. We can promote a Gengar, attach a Psychic Energy, and then use Creep Show to take our first knockout. And then afterwards, if we can just use Creep Show on these next 2 Sylveons, we'll be good to go. But our opponent did use Magical Ribbon, so I would be willing to bet they grabbed a Max Potion out of their deck. But here they're going to go for another Guzma, but I'm fine with that. We have a Guzma of our own ready to go. Ooh, and here this could be bad. Our opponent, if they use GlitchXCity, that could be very annoying actually. Yep, they are going to use GlitchXCity, so they are going to force all these resources back into our hand. But you know what? It's actually not that bad too, because if we just keep a big hand like this, we can actually end all that back into our deck at some point too. So it's not the worst thing getting a bunch of resources back into your hand. So, yeah, I guess, Just trying to think what we want to do here. Yeah, we definitely, I feel like, should bench the Ghastly. That's definitely for sure. What we can actually do is we could just attach DCE to Lele, and well, I don't know if that's a good play because we really only need 30 damage at a time, so. But at the same time, if we put DC on Lele, we could actually just threaten a 2-hit knockout here. You know what? Actually, I think we have to put. I think we have to attach a Psychic Energy this turn to Ghastly because next turn we need to Creep Show. So here I'm just trying to think of all the options that we have access to, but I think just attaching a Ghastly is fine. And then next turn we can use. Well, we don't have Rare Candy. Ugh, that's kind of gross. So opponent's going to use Team Rocket's Handiwork, discarding a Gengar and a Floatstone. Floatstone's kind of relevant, but not too worried about the Gengar. So, let's see. So if they're going to use Magical Ribbon, I would assume this is the turn we'll probably see a Max Potion come into play, just because our opponent doesn't know I don't have Rare Candy, so they might just play it safe and try to, you know, maybe get off that damage before I can get a Gengar into play. So here I'm going to bench a second Ghastly, because if we actually got our Ghastly Guzma up and knocked out with a Fairy Wind, that could also be bad. So I just want to start setting up a second one just in case. So here we're going to Ultra Ball, getting rid of Bridget and I think Potown maybe? Jirachi could also be a good target as well. I think Gengar's probably okay. It's probably a safe one to get rid of. We only need the one throughout the course of a game here. So we could go for Haunter. That seems alright as well. Just trying to think of all our options. No, we could have done. We actually could have gone for like a Guzma, or we could have gone for a Espeon EX, put Potown in play, and just like literally forced our opponent to keep evolving through Potown. That could actually be kind of a half decent strategy here, but I think this is fine too. We're just kind of forcing our opponent to have the Max Potion on this active Pokemon. But here they play Crushing Hammer, it fails, I'm fine with that. And they're going to heal off all this damage from the Sylveon, probably just reattach and go for another Magical Ribbon. If we got hit with an Enhanced Hammer, that could also be slightly annoying. But the good thing is our Haunter is not in danger of being knocked out anymore, since our opponent did get rid of the double colorless energy that they had on Sylveon. So we are going to be able to get Gengar next turn. And here they're going to Team Flare Grunt us. That's slightly annoying, losing a little bit more energy. And we're just going to see a Magical Ribbon. But on this next turn, what we can do is, like I said, we can evolve into Gengar, and we can actually just Guzma up this other Sylveon and take a knockout before it gets Max Potioned as well. So let's do that. Only downside is it's going to take 2 more turns before we can take a knockout on the remaining Sylveon. Here we're going to do Creep Show, and we get a Haunter, and we get a double colorless energy, which is pretty important here. Every energy is basically precious in this matchup since they run so much energy denial between Crushing Hammers, Team Flare Grunts, and things like that. Puzzles of Time, like they're playing right now, to get back all of those disruption cards. Yep, Team Flare Grunt Crushing Hammer seems pretty good. And they get the heads on the hammer, which is pretty big here. Luckily, we do have free retreat with Gengar, so. Oh, and they have Perilous City, also slightly annoying. And here we're just going to see a Magical Ribbon, grabbing 3 more cards out of the deck. I'm assuming we'll probably see like a Max Potion, if they don't already have one in hand. So what we'll do here is we can... Yeah, I think we're going to have to start using Latios again at this point. So we'll get rid of their Perilous City, that way we can bench an additional Pokemon. Just checking our opponent's discard, seeing what all they've used. Oh, and you know what? Yeah, we could actually just go for a Lele play, because we only need to knock out 1 Sylveon, So what we can do here actually is we can attack with Lele, just do 60 damage, and we actually have a float stone on Lele, so we will be able to stay mobile and be able to retreat this Lele if need be as well. But here they have the enhanced hammer and the max potion, definitely setting us back. So maybe the okay, what do we do? Here they're going to use Elusamine, so that's kind of annoying too. They're going to get back a couple supporters, I'm assuming, out of their discard pile, maybe some flare guns, that could be good. So we'll have to see what route to go. Maybe, okay, so we're going to get Skull Grunt and Flare, and that is definitely a little problematic for us. So we need to, oh god. That is going to put us in a difficult spot. So I'm not sure how much energy have we gone through. Ugh, and we hit another energy. It's typically a good thing, but knowing that they have the Skull Grunt is pretty bad for us. So I'm just trying to think, what is the play at this point? I feel like we have to attach the Psychic Energy. The Counter Energy isn't doing us too much use right now. And unfortunately, I think we just have to Sinister Fog here. So maybe... Now, it's going to be really close. You know, we're only one knockout away from winning, but at the same time, we are getting very low on energy. I'm assuming next turn we're probably going to be hit with a Team Skull Grunt. So here we've gone through all of our Psychic Energy. So I think really the only thing left at this point that we can do is maybe if we have like an Espeon EX type of play. If we can top deck Espeon, that would actually be dope, because we can just attach Counter Energy and, you know, keep using Potown and Miraculous Shine to take knockouts. Or we could actually try to deck our opponent out. That's an option as well. But here we hit double Carlos Energy. That is not what I want to see. Normally I would love to hit Energy, but I think given what we have, I think we just have to attach the DCE to Lele and Larry, just try to go for a traditional type of knockout here. Yeah, just trying to think what we need to do. Here I'm just gonna, I guess, save all of the just save everything that we have here. Here they're gonna use Team Skull Grunt, getting rid of some energy in our hand. I was just kind of worried about maybe like a Crushing Hammer and Skull Grunt in the same turn. That would have been pretty bad for us, but like I said, I don't know, maybe going for the DCE Energy Drive would have been better here. The Sylveon deck is definitely not a deck that I'm used to playing against all the time, and definitely not with this deck as well, so I apologize if some of these plays seem maybe a little off, but I'm literally just trying to figure this matchup out as I go here. Ooh, and actually this is pretty good. What we can do is... Okay, well actually the only downside is if we go for a de-evolution play, we aren't even going to be able to take 2 prizes because Eevee only gives up 1 prize. And, man, this is rough. I just don't think we're going to have enough energy to finish this game, so what I'm going to try to do is maybe bait our opponent into wasting some more resources and actually try to deck them out. Here our opponent's going to end us, so we're going to get only 2 cards off the end, which I'm excited about actually, because that means more resources left in our deck. And here they're going to Magical Ribbon, and I'm actually pretty excited because right now we have 14 cards left in deck. Now they have 10 after Magical Ribbon, so what we can do is literally just draw a pass and hopefully deck out the deck that is trying to deck us out. You know, if we played Special Charge or Super Odd or a way to get back some of our energy, I might consider going just for like an Espeon play and winning that way. But, you know, at this point, I don't think we're going to have enough resources to do that. And we got lucky here. Our opponent hit the double tails on the Team Rocket's handiwork. But even still, I think we have 1 end left in our deck, so if we can just keep drawing all of our resources and eventually just ending them back in before we get decked out, I think that's going to be the way to go. So here, do we... Nah, I think we literally just keep draw passing. And hey, you never know, if we draw past long enough, this Sylveon might even just get knocked out. Well, there goes that plan. They are going to play Acerola, getting that Sylveon back into their hand. So yeah, the Acerola I think basically kind of cements this strategy here, because you know, I don't think we are going to be able to actually take a knockout. We don't have any more Psychic Energies left in the deck, so we definitely can't use Creep Show. And we can't even poison our opponent either at this point. And yes, we actually hit a Rescue Stretcher that's pretty big, so we can put 3 Pokemon back into the deck. We're not really going to use these, but we are just basically going to make sure that you know, we don't get decked out thanks to Rescue Stretcher. And here our opponent only has 5 cards left in their deck, so you know, we're getting close. They get rid of the Sycamore and Ghastly. As long as they don't get rid of N, I'm feeling pretty good. So here we're just going to, I guess, just pass again. And so they have Bodybuilding Dumbbells. Yeah, keep playing cards out of your hand, my friend. I'm completely okay with that. So they're going to get back 2 Team Rocket's Handiworks. That is kind of sketchy, I won't lie, especially if they are able to hit double heads on one of those. That could be pretty bad for us. But they only have 3 cards left in deck, so we might actually beat them to decking them out. And they hit Double Tails again, so we got a little bit lucky there, it looks like. And we have Lele in hand, which is actually perfect because we can grab an N as soon as we get really close to decking out. Here, they're going to do Handiwork, getting a heads, and they did not get rid of an N, so I'm feeling pretty good about the spot that we are in. So we're just going to pass over to us, and let's see what all they've used. 3 Handiworks. I'm not sure how many they played. They've only used 1 N, so they probably still have a way to shuffle some resources back into their deck. But honestly, we have more resources left, so I think... yeah, I think even if they go for the N to try to prevent themselves from decking out, we still will beat them in that type of race. But here, they're going to go for the N. I'm cool with that. Like I said, we're only going to get a 2-card hand. They get 4. So, no, I have 14 cards left in deck. They have 6. And they're going to Magical Ribbon. And here we get the victory screen. So the deck out deck finally conceded to us that we were going to deck them out. So the second game, you know, kind of a non-traditional way to win with this Latios Gengar style deck, but nevertheless, hope you guys enjoyed a look at this rogue deck idea. And like I said, a big shout out to Josh and the rest of our patrons over on patreon.com/rarecandytcg for supporting the channel and help making videos like this happen. But as usual, feel free to like and subscribe. And like I said, if you can support us on our Patreon at rarecandytcg, we'll have a link in the description. Or if you can pick up something from our online store at rarecandytcg.com, it'd be greatly appreciated. But with that, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you for the next one.